Shalom, shalom, Israel. First off, giving all praise to the Most High and to His Son Yahushua. We are battle axes of the Most High. I heard to bring you a Wednesday class today, and today's class is the blowing of trumpets. I know a lot of people, a lot of Israelite brothers and sisters out there finna get ready to prepare for these high holy days. So this is one of the ones that's coming up first in the month of in the 7th month, like we say. We got a lot of high holy days in this month. You know, it's one of the busiest months in the nation of Israel. Like we say, we got the memorial blowing of trumpets, which also is the new moon. Then we have the Day of Atonement. Then we have the Feast of Tabernacles. So we're going to cover this memorial blowing of trumpets today because, like we were just discussing with the congregation, we know Esau's holidays, but we don't know our own heritage holidays. And, you know, it's about time we come up out of that nonsense, you know, and get back in this Bible and learn your true heritage. Learn the high holy days that the Most High God commanded us to keep. And that's what we're here to do today. Give me Psalms chapter 78 and verse 5. I would say it'll be a quick little class. Just get a little bit understanding.
The book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel.
So it says he appointed a law in Israel. Guess what? Keeping a memorial blowing of trumpets is a law that us in Israel have to do. Little do you know, like we say, God's laws is not done away with. We know we hear brothers and sisters out here in some camps teaching that you don't have to keep the laws. Well, you won't find no scripture in the Bible that says so. You know, like we say, you ought to obey God's words rather than me. Read on now.
Which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children.
That we should make these high holy days and these laws known to our children. So it's a law for us to teach our children these things. So guess what? They can continue and in their generations continue and continue. Read on now.
That the generations to come might know them.
Might what?
Might know them.
Might know them. Like we say, we know 4th of July, we know Christmas, we know all these wicked holidays, but we don't know God's high holy days. We need to change that, Israel. Read on now.
Even the children which should be born.
Even the children which shall be what?
Born.
Going back, reiterating the same thing from generation to generation. Read on now.
Who shall arise and declare them to their children?
Who shall arise and declare them? And that's what we're doing today. We rising up as a nation of people, and we are declaring these to our children, to our wives, to brothers and sisters out there that may not know. Read on now.
That they might set their hope in God.
And that's what it's all for, that we set our hope in God. Because guess what? Celebrating Christmas, there's no hope in God. Celebrating the 4th of July, it's damn sure no hope in God. We was in slavery during that time, man. So the hope that we have in God is by keeping his high holy days. Read on now.
And not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments.
But do what?
Keep his commandments.
But keep his commandments, brothers and sisters. Now give me the book of Numbers, chapter 10. We'll start at verse 1. Because the blowing of trumpets, guess what? It has significance in the scriptures. It is very symbolic. And we're going to touch on a few of those things. Read that out.
The book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver. Of a whole piece shalt thou make them.
Hold up. Now, Lord's will, we make it to the kingdom, man. We have glorious things like that now. It's okay to have chauffeurs, and that's what they there for. But when we get into the kingdom, man, you have a gold blowing trumpet, man. You know, royalty back in this place, man. Read on out.
That thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of camps.
So the blowing of trumpets was to call the assembly together to get understanding in God's words, and it was to break off the camps. So this has very significance in the scriptures. And guess what? Esau uses this thing today. A lot of times when royalty is coming up on the scene, guess what they're doing? They blowing that trumpet, man. All the nations get these things from us.
Read that last part over again. The last, after the last come, and for the journey,
and for the journeying of the camps.
Now it said of the journeying of the camps. So when you blowing the trumpets, guess what, man? They had camps then, they got camps now.
That's exactly right.
So we cannot think that, oh, I ain't trying to get with no camp. You out of line. Because how are you gonna celebrate? You gonna celebrate how you gonna celebrate memorial blowing of the trumpet? And the trumpet was supposed to sound for the camps. And you ain't with no camp, so what you gonna do then?
That's what we tell brothers and sisters. A lot of times when people don't want to join camps, guess what? They have secret secrets, man. And we know that brothers and sisters are dealing with something. So when you get with a group of people, you start to see their patterns. They start to expose the real selves to them. So that's why a lot of times people don't want to join camps. They also don't want to join camps because they don't like correction. But guess what, man? The Bible is all about correction, man. We have to move forward with God's word, whether we hear or forbear. Read on up.
And when they shall blow with thee, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So when they blew, we all joined together. Read on up.
And if they blow but with one trumpet, then the princes, which are heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto thee.
And guess what? We all about order. So when you sounded the trumpet one time, that was for the heads of the leaders of Israel to come out first. Everything the Most High does is about order, man. We need to get back to that status, man. Read on up.
When ye blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east parts shall go forward.
And guess what? The blowing of trumpets was also to sound an alarm. Why do you think we heard things like we say with the alarm when weather watch is coming
that's
up?
where that comes from.
It's exactly where it comes from.
And that's what it was doing. Every alarm system, every horn meant a certain thing to the nation of Israel. And they didn't have telephones, so I could speak to everybody on each corner by the sound of the trumpet. You know, hey, mean they time to come over here. Or yeah, you know, stuff. It meant different things. The different sounds meant different things. And then like when they got up to blow on this day, they blew first the captain. It was a noise. Hey, y'all come down. Then another sound comes. Now you see the rest of the people come down.
And that's exactly right. Like Ak is going into, all these nations get these things from the Bible, man. They get this and they stole it from our heritage. A lot of people, we don't understand, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Y'all have a very rich heritage, man. The most richest on the planet Earth, man. Read on, huh?
And that's another thing to say.
Yeah, go ahead, huh?
The reason that's what he said when he told Abraham, all nations gonna be blessed by your seed, by him. Why all nations blessed? Because they got everything because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everybody blessed because everybody got their whole living in society. And when it all boils down to it, despite the white man history books and despite the things that we don't know, when Yahushua returns, we're going to see it all was because of us. Because that's what we put everything into. So everything was stolen from us. It ain't that they stole it, but we was a gorgeous nation. So, you know, just like America, like Russia do. They look at America because they got bombs. We need to go get some bombs. That's right. They got this, so we need to go get this. You like they say in the NFL, what is that thing? It's a what kind of league is that? What they use? Copycat league. That's what this is. They copycat nation. When we was in Great Kingdom, they copied them. They had them see what great things we were doing.
Exactly.
And that's what they copied.
Read verse 6.
When ye blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow.
Ye shall what?
Ye shall blow.
And guess what? When Thursday comes tomorrow night, guess what we'll be doing? We'll be blowing up the trumpet, as the scripture commands us. Read on up.
But ye shall not sound an alarm.
And let you know that it was a difference. An alarm was for what? Danger, or to watch out for certain things. But guess what? It was a certain sound for the trumpets to gather together, but it was also an alarm to warn you of danger. We don't know.
And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations.
Now that last part is heavy, forever throughout your generations, man. Reiterating what Psalm 78 had just said. Read on up.
And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpet.
So that's what the alarm was also, the trumpet was also used for as well, an alarm for when we went out to war. Read on up.
And that's right.
You can start over on verse 9.
And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
Read verse 10, huh?
Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days.
Because guess what? These feast days is a time for gladness, man. Brothers and sisters are all glad when they kicking it on Halloween and 4th of July, man. Guess what? We need to be this same way even more on these days, man. It's a glorious time that we can come together without any bickering or any fighting, man. Just a good time amongst brothers and sisters, man. Read on.
And imagine if we did this as a nation of people. Think about it. If I got out here in Dallas right now, we blew this horn, and all Israelites knew exactly what that meant. Can you imagine what our enemies be thinking? Because we could do everything on one accord. They'd be like, I don't know what that means, but what are they doing? They'd be going to try to find the first black people. Oh, he's smiling. They good. they just gathered having what's name. Then they come out and everybody looking serious. They know, ooh, that one mean. They'll be right. The FBI be marking that down. 3 times.
Man, no, they be. I ain't got to mark down a coon and step up there. Hey, man, this is right. They get it for this, and they get it for that.
We always gonna have people of our own people that hate whatever brothers and sisters is trying to build, man. We got brothers that are turned down, man, for real, man. Brothers got to come up out of that spirit. Sisters got to come up out of that spirit. Read verse 10 from the top again.
Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginnings of your months.
And in the what?
Beginnings of your months.
Because not only is the memorial blowing of trumpets a high holy day, guess what other high holy day it is? It's the new moon. You know, and guess what we do in the new moon? Give me Psalms chapter 81 and verse 3. Hold your precept. We're going to come back.
Book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
So guess what we need to be doing? In the new moon's blowing up the trumpet. Just like we're going to be doing tomorrow. Read on up.
In the time appointed.
In the time appointed. Because guess what? God gave us these high holy days in their own appointed seasons. We'll get into a class on that, on how you learn to count by the moon. And that's what the Most High gave the moon for, as a sign for when we know when to do our feast days. Read on up.
On our solemn feast day.
And like I said, it's a solemn feast day, a holy convocation, man. Read on up.
For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob.
Read on up.
This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not.
So this is reiterating, because we understand that, guess what? The laws was on the planet Earth since the time of Adam. But during, let's speak on this out. But during Moses' time, Moses reintroduced the commandments back to Israel as a nation of people. And that's what this is going into when we came up out of Egypt. Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that, because, you know, people be talking about, you ain't done the laws of Moses, but they never was Moses' law. Moses got the laws from the Most High.
Exactly.
So they never was Moses' law. That's people saying Moses' law. And they'll say it in the Bible also like that, but they doing the same thing we do today. Because, and then it says, go ahead, number 4, read verse 4 again.
That's right. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob.
So we ain't got it. So all that Moses and them did that. No, this is the God's law, the God of Jacob. So that, quit that bullcrap, man. Get out of that mess.
Exactly.
These laws of Moses that y'all keep talking about, Moses didn't give none of that. Moses went up there and took instructions and brought them down.
That's it.
Moses didn't even, the only thing Moses could have gave y'all was the same laws that they had in Egypt. Because that's how he grew up. I know they law. So God had to teach him at that time 40 days and 40 nights.
And going into the Mosaic covenant, just like they said, the Mosaic covenant, yeah, okay. Why Moses didn't make it to the promised land? See, that's a whole big old, that's a whole another animal that they got to deal with, man. They got to, like I said, they got to shake that, man. Man, this is God's law, man. Even Christ, what Christ said, he's God's law, man.
Exactly.
And another thing, this is an order. It said celebrated in its appointed time. What would we look like going out there? Oh yeah, man, I love Feast of Tabernacles. We're gonna celebrate that again. We're gonna celebrate that in November. Yeah, we're going out there in November, Feast of blowing the trumpet. We're going out there now. You can't do that. Now you're stepping over the Most High bounds. He said in its appointed time.
Exactly.
So it's always order for what we do and how we do it.
See, one thing people don't understand, we trying to please the Most High.
Exactly.
We ain't just doing anything just to do it. He gave this to us to show our obedience, to please him. That's lost in Christianity. People ain't trying to please the Most High. What we trying to do here is try to please the Father. Point blank, period. So we gonna do what he said do in his appointed time.
That's exactly right. Read verse 10 again. Let's go back to Numbers 10 and verse 10.
The book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings.
Now, we know that we don't sacrifice anymore, so we're not doing that. Read on up.
And the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be not slack, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God.
He's the Lord our God. Give me Numbers chapter 29 and verse 1. Because Numbers 29 tells you when to celebrate the memorial blowing of trumpets. Go ahead, Captain.
The book of Numbers, chapter 29 and verse 1. And in the seventh day, and in the seventh month.
So who knows what the seventh month is? What is it, Brother Buddy?
It starts in March. From March.
7th month?
The 7th month. I'm sorry, September.
Exactly. September is the 7th month. And like we say, we'll get more heavier into a class because like we say, it's Latin for 7. Like we say, Esau done changed the calendars. Give me Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 right here. Oh, praise like the spirit, man. No, we already know how brothers rolling up here, man. Daniel 7 and 25. Because Esau done played trickery with us. They cannot really change what the Most High done ordained. So what did they change?
They changed laws.
They did. It says they would think to change time, so they really can't do that. All they did was change our minds about how we understand it.
Right.
That's what they changed, and they did that into slavery. Read that.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
That he is going into a nation. A nation shall speak great words against the Most High. They passing homosexual laws. The Bible said don't do that. They passing that. Guess what? Go to church on Sunday. The Most High say go to church on Saturday. Read on up.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
And guess what? They wearing us out. Brothers and sisters coming in here tired from work, man. 14, 12, 10 hours a day, man. Brothers and sisters have to get up real early. Don't have time to deal with your children a lot of time. They wearing us out in captivity, man. Read on up.
And think to change times and laws.
And that's the key right there. And think to change times and laws. Because according to Esau's calendar, the Roman Greco calendar, what month will we be in? This will be considered what month?
The 8th month, the 9th month.
The 9th month, exactly. But according to the Bible, it's the 7th month because you're counting from the time of Passover. Like we say, Passover starts in late March, early April.
And they even know that. That's why they call it September.
Exactly.
They even know that.
They had all these dates at the time, and then they went back and changed those times. Becca, 10, but we got it as what? 12. Octa's 8, they got it as what? And those what Octa was the 8th month.
But when you start at the true beginning of the year, it lines up.
Exactly.
They changed them because they was changing our time. Because they knew that what they were originally.
And think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and a dividing of time.
That into his hand for a time, a 100 year, and times 300 years, and a dividing of times, which is what 350 years. The approximate time, guess what? We have been enslaved. Like I said, they just celebrating. It's over there now because they just celebrate the 400 year of slavery. You know, this past weekend. But Esau changed these things, but all praise to the Most High, we get the understanding back.
And the 350 years, not saying that that's when they was going to be released from slavery. Exactly. That's when they started waking up.
Exactly.
And if you look at 1969, when they was doing, that's 350 years since we was out here at that time. So the scriptures line up with history.
Exactly.
Right along with history.
Let's go back to Numbers 29 and 1. You had something, Captain Mike? Go ahead. All right.
The book of Numbers, chapter 29. Want to go to 1 or 2?
Yeah, verse 1.
Verse 1. And in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you should have a holy convocation.
So, like it says, that's a holy convocation. A holy convocation is a holy gathering. So that's the time that we come together, eat amongst brothers and sisters, and enjoy brothers and sisters' company. Because guess what? We practicing a righteous rehearsal. We're going to that class and going into the wilderness because guess what? We need to learn how to get along with brothers and sisters, man. Brothers and sisters need to learn order according to the scripture. There shouldn't be no murmurings, no complainings. Guess what? Brother need to become doing his thing according to the scriptures, man. Read on, huh?
Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing of the trumpets unto you.
Guess what? It's the day to just kick back and kick it, man. You know, we understand that we're in captivity. So guess what? Not everyone is able to get off, you know. But like we tell brothers, do the best that you can in this captivity, man.
And the thing is, man, a lot of people, they saying that the laws are done away with. They saying that we don't supposed to keep these high holy days. Man, what kind of God you serve that commands you to have a celebration?
Exactly.
Who would want to serve a God that say, hey, man, I command y'all to celebrate, man?
Yeah, let me get a full precept right quick. Give me Judges 5 and 11.
Which was
Judges 5 and 11. Because people say, well, you know, the Most High ain't told us, we ain't in Jerusalem, so we don't have to do these things. Or we don't have the priest to do these things. The house became the priest. Don't y'all remember that? That's in Hebrews, right? Yeah. He took over the high priest, didn't he? Yeah. After the order of Melchizedek. So now, give me read that.
The book of Judges, chapter 5, and verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of the arches.
They that are delivered from the noise of the arches. Those that are delivered from captivity. Noise of arches, bombs. Go ahead.
In the places of drawing water.
In the places of slavery. That's servitude, drawing of water. Because that's what we did. Servitude went down and got water for all kingdoms to drink. Go ahead.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts
Where?
of the Lord.
So it's saying in captivity, we still need to be in a place where we in captivity. We need to be doing it. What it tells us what to do. Read that again.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
These are all righteous acts.
No. It said not homeland. No, it said there.
There.
Ye shall.
No, we gotta wait till you get back to Jerusalem. No, you don't. It's saying right there where you was drawing water. We still in the hands of our captors over here. Drawing water. Still drawing water. You're right. Still drawing water. He said there, practice a righteous act.
Mm-hmm. We ain't drawing water. We wading in the water right now.
Yeah. We supposed to be doing this practicing, expecting the kingdom. Right. See, when you practice something, you expect the game to come and sooner or later. What is you practicing for if you ain't never gonna play? What you practicing for? I've been outside all day long. Don't even play on no basketball team. I've been out there shooting. For what? You ain't gotta go. You know what I'm saying? I've been out there though. You gotta have a purpose for what you're practicing on, right? Ain't nobody getting up there no more than going to practice at nothing if they ain't got a purpose to go practice. You know, man, we ain't finna do none of that. But all of a sudden, we practicing it because there's a kingdom coming. We gotta practice for that kingdom. Man, I tell you, our people go out there, man.
You reach it, man.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they doing. Like we say, the blowing of trumpets, these things were symbolic. It was symbolic for, guess what? The anointing of kings, bringing the Ark of the Covenant, trumpets being blown when we was given the law. And guess what? Sounded in the time of danger. This is also another one. And guess what? Sounding of God's power.
That's right.
Give me Matthew chapter 24 and verse 30. So it was very symbolic.
And if we don't have to do the high holy day, then how do we praise the Most High?
Exactly.
So you just sit at the house and not congregate and have, like you said, what God commands you to have fun? Come on, man. To gather together and have a party. Some parties, 8 days long? If we get to do it? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. 24 and verse 30.
Yeah.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Talking about Christ. Read on now.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Because they know he's coming with destruction. Read on now.
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven.
Coming in those chariots.
With power.
With what?
With power and great glory.
Read on now.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet.
Of a great sound of a what?
Of a trumpet.
Guess what? That's an alarm, man. Let you know that guess what? The power is back on the scene, man. So brothers and sisters gonna be dreading that day, man. Dreading that day. So we want to identify the different types of trumpet blowings too. This is one of them, man. This is that power sounding, man. Is that it on that? You got something else?
And hold up. And see, the thing is, if you ain't practicing the righteous act to know the memorial blowing the trumpet, how you gonna know the trumpets when the king comes?
Yeah, because some of what they gonna do, man, they gonna hear that trumpet and they gonna be thinking it's a tornado. They're gonna get against the wall, put their hand up. No, this ain't no tornado.
It's the real deal holy field.
Different sound right there, man. That's a different sound.
And the
They're gonna be getting prepared for all this other stuff. No, the Israelites gonna be like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the angel's gonna be tapping you on the shoulder. Hey, bring it hither.
Yeah. Bet you be trembling.
Matter of fact, we finna read it. Read that up.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds.
And guess what? That's what brothers and sisters need to be praying for. That's what you practice in the righteous rehearsal for. So guess what? Be a part of that elect, man. Keeping these high holy days, man. Don't be listening to Pastor Porkchop telling you that God's laws is done away with when the scriptures say otherwise.
So these Israelites, Israel Negroes.
And read that four winds. Read that part again.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds.
And them four winds is gathering armies. That's the winds. Those are armies coming in. So it ain't this finna, man. Tell him, get ready. That's why I say you better practice with a righteous act. You got to practice to be in the military. You got to practice order. You got to practice being obedient to what we're supposed to be doing. Because what you going to do? I mean, that's like going to, we made it to the state finals, but we ain't never practiced. Y'all finna get tore up.
And how? Do somebody think they just become righteous? You have to practice righteousness to get to righteousness. You don't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm righteous. No, this is a process that you have to do. Yeah, the Christians, they got their own righteousness.
You did them in one, they everything.
We trying to rehearse the righteousness of the Most High God because they ain't teaching that around here. Ain't no knowledge of God around here except for the Israelites.
That's exactly right. Give me Amos chapter 3, verse 7. Another little precept. We finna get up there. Yeah, finish that up, bro.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
And I want to ask one question, and you brother.
3 and 7.
What precept can you go to go get the elect?
Isaiah 45 and 4.
All praise. Because the elect is not Mother Teresa wicked behind, Pope Alexander, or whoever the Pope is over the Vatican today. These are not the elect of the Most High God, man. Only the Israelites are the elect. That's why you must read the Bible precept upon precept.
And how can somebody be the elect of the Most High God if they're not doing nothing that the Bible say do? It's impossible. How can you be a saint of the Most High God if you're doing nothing that the Bible say to do? The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid?
Because guess what? When we hear that last trump, man, people are going to be afraid, man. Like we say, the one that we heard tomorrow, all praise to the Most High, man. That's the one for gladness and worshiping and coming together as brothers and sisters, man.
Yeah, that's the one Jeroboam blowing. But when that other trumpet, Jeroboam ain't gonna have that silver in his hand. It's gonna be a gold and silver from an angel.
Exactly. Read on up.
Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord has not done it?
Read on up.
Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets.
Because guess what? This is a secret that we are uncovering. It's a secret to the nations that guess what? We got to keep the memorial blowing of trumpets, man. This thing has been hid, man. And now, all praise to the Most High, he's revealing that thing unto the prophets, man. The Israelites, man. That's who the prophets are, and that's who the ones that's keeping a righteous rehearsal. And like we tell brothers and sisters, man, keep in this fight, endure to the end, keep the commandments, man. That's what the whole Bible is all about, man. Like we say, we like to give all praise to the Most High, to His Son Yahushua. Thank you for you brothers and sisters that have been donating to the cause. Share the Facebook post. Share these things, man. Help us push this truth, man. Help us build, man. If any brother got any questions or concerns or sisters, call us, man. We got our number on these things. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna take a little swipe at the verses real quick.
Go ahead.
Appreciate about who the prophets of the Most High are.
Exactly.
And y'all might want to write this down. Amos chapter 2 and verse 11. They try to say Muhammad is a prophet. And let's see what the Most High says. And I raised up of your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith the Lord? So the only prophets that's they've been on this earth come from the Israelites, man, through the Most High God. So cut that mess out, Islam.
Exactly.
Muhammad is not a prophet.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a law. Give me the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 8. Because I know a lot of times people thinking it's just 10 commandments. But under those 10 commandments go sub-laws. Under this sub-law, guess what? Is where all the high holy days are listed.
And that they got that from us. Yeah. While y'all looking at the Constitution, what it's got? The First Amendment, right?
Statute.
Then under there it's got the A with a law. It's like you ever did the what is that? What they call that? Outline. You know, in school.
Yeah, sometimes.
It goes all the way down. Just like when you do that same, that's how our law do. You got 10, and under those 10 come all of these 613.
Let me bring this out to back you up on that. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 37.
Exactly.
And the statutes and the ordinances and the law and the commandment which he wrote for you, ye shall observe to do forevermore. Yeah. And ye shall not fear other gods. Forevermore means forever. So they need to stop this. The law is done away with, or the commandments are done away with. It's showing you right here. And if you look at the definitions of statutes, ordinances, and laws, they mean the same thing. And that's why the brother bringing out about the Constitution. This is our Constitution.
Yes.
That's where they got it from. You got to have a Constitution to be a nation of people. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 37. All right.
Give me that law. Give me Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. I can tell you, brothers and sisters, this is a law, man.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Remember the Sabbath days. Guess what? Not only just the 7-day Sabbath fall up under this, but all the high holy days. Those are considered Sabbaths. Read on up.
6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work.
Because guess what? On a lot of the high holy days, we're commanded not to do any work.
And another thing, Yahushua was the Lord of the Sabbath back then. So quit saying that. You know, Yahushua the Lord of the Sabbath every day. No. He was the Lord of the Sabbath back then. It was speaking of him on this day. Read.
And you can't find in there that the Sabbath is every day. These people need to cut it out. This stuff that they come out their mouth with, if you can't find it in the scriptures, then it's not true.
No, check it. I can promise you the scripture gonna tear it up. It's gonna cut it up. I know one. We ain't gonna go into it, but it's scriptures that tear all that up, man. Exactly. Read your scriptures, man. If you don't know them, get counseling. And I promise you, let your leaders, they'll find it for you. If you ain't gonna look for it, they'll tell you and find it for you. Because it's something on any, ain't nothing you can say that ain't in there.
That's right. Verse 10. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
And guess what? Like we say, with that, we say all praise to the Most High. Shalom.
Shalom.
Exodus 20 and 8.